The last stand of humanity. The massive silhouette of Earth's orbital defense platforms cast long shadows across the lunar surface as Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of Orbital Command. Her weathered features reflected in the reinforced glass, dark eyes fixed on the distant stars, where long-range sensors had detected the approaching Drachnid fleet. "They're earlier than we anticipated," General Marcus Rodriguez said, joining her at the window. His uniform bore the newly created United Earth Defense Force insignia, a phoenix rising from a stylized planet. "Maybe they finally realized we're not as primitive as they thought," Sarah replied, her fingers unconsciously tracing the scar along her jaw, a reminder of humanity's first contact with the Drachnids 5 years ago. That encounter had shattered humanity's dreams of peaceful first contact and sparked a technological revolution born of desperate necessity. The holographic display behind them illuminated the command center with a soft blue glow, showing the approaching Drachnid armada. Over 500 ships, each one representing technology centuries ahead of Earth's conventional forces. But conventional wasn't what humanity had in mind. "Status of Project Hyperion?" Sarah asked, turning to face the assembled command staff. Dr. Elena Volkov, lead scientist of the project, stepped forward. Her augmented reality interface flickered as she pulled up the relevant data. "The quantum core is stable, Admiral. All systems are operating within theoretical parameters, though I must emphasize again that we haven't had time for proper testing." Sarah nodded grimly. "The Drachnids have ensured we won't get that luxury. How long until they breach the outer system defense grid?" 36 hours, Rodriguez answered. "Their approach pattern suggests they're not even trying to be subtle anymore. They're coming straight for Earth." The Admiral's lips curved in a slight smile. "Pride. That's always been their weakness. They still think we're just primitive apes who got lucky with our first defense." She turned to address the room. "Initialize Operation Phoenix. Get me a direct link to the Hyperion." The massive view screen shifted to show the interior of Earth's first and only quantum battleship. The Hyperion floated in its secret lunar dock, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly sheen, the result of metamaterials that defied conventional physics. Captain David Chen, Sarah's younger brother, appeared on screen. "Hyperion actual, reporting ready," David said, his crew visible behind him at their stations. Each one had been chosen not just for their skills, but for their ability to think beyond conventional military doctrine. They would need that creativity for what was coming. "The Drachnids are advancing faster than expected," Sarah informed them. "You've studied their tactics, their technology, their arrogance. They expect us to either surrender or fight according to their rules of engagement." Her voice hardened. "Show them why that was a mistake." David's expression turned serious. "Understanding their technology and rules means we know exactly how to break them. Hyperion systems are designed to do exactly what they think is impossible." The next hours passed in a blur of activity. Earth's conventional forces moved into defensive positions, appearing to follow the standard tactical doctrine the Drachnids had observed in previous encounters. Meanwhile, the Hyperion powered up its experimental systems. Dr. Volkov's voice cut through the tension. "Admiral, we're detecting quantum fluctuations in the Hyperion's core. The AI is reporting. Well, it's reporting possibilities." "Possibilities?" Rodriguez asked. "The quantum core doesn't just power the ship," Elena explained. "It sees probability itself, every possible outcome of every tactical decision, every movement, every shot fired. The AI can calculate the perfect moment to act, the perfect way to break their strategies." Sarah watched as the Hyperion emerged from its lunar hiding place, its hull seeming to shift between states of matter as the quantum field adjusted to optimize its existence. The ship represented humanity's greatest achievement, not just in technology, but in thinking beyond the possible. The first wave of Drachnid scouts entered the inner solar system, their sensors sweeping for Earth's defenses. They moved with the precise, mathematical formations that had made their empire the dominant force in known space. Their tactical computers calculated every variable, every potential threat, based on their understanding of physics and warfare. But they hadn't calculated for human ingenuity combined with quantum technology. All stations report ready. David's voice came through clear and confident. Quantum core is stable. Probability drive is online, and weapon systems are charged. Permission to engage. Sarah looked at the approaching Drachnid fleet one last time. In those ships she saw not just an enemy, but the embodiment of stagnation, an empire so convinced of its superiority that it had stopped evolving. Today, humanity would show them the cost of that arrogance. Permission granted, Hyperion. Show them what humanity can do when pushed to the edge. Show them why Earth will never bow. The Hyperion's quantum drive activated, and for a moment, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. Humanity's last stand was about to become humanity's finest hour. The turning point. The Drachnid scout ships never saw the Hyperion coming. One moment, they were maintaining their perfect formation, their sensors sweeping space with mathematical precision. The next, their tactical computers screamed impossible warnings as humanity's quantum battleship existed in multiple positions simultaneously. Probability field holding stable. Lieutenant Maya Patul reported from her station on the Hyperion's bridge. Her fingers danced across the quantum interface, adjusting the ship's state of existence. The Drachnid's targeting systems can't lock onto us. We're literally existing in too many potential locations at once. Captain David Chen watched as the enemy ships attempted to adapt their formation. The Drachnid's response was exactly what they'd predicted. A textbook defensive pattern designed to counter conventional phase-shifting technology. "They still think we're using stolen tech," he said with a grim smile. "Show them how wrong they are. Weapons, select targets. Targets acquired." Weapons Officer Jack Torres confirmed. The Hyperion's quantum cannons hummed to life, each one calculating not where the enemy ships were, but where they would be, could be, and couldn't be, all at once. Fire. The quantum beams didn't travel through space. They altered probability itself. Where they struck, Drachnid shields didn't just fail. They retroactively had never existed. 3 scout ships vanished, their atoms scattered across multiple quantum states. Back in orbital command, Admiral Sarah Chen watched the battle unfold with intense focus. Status of the main Drachnid fleet. "They're accelerating," Rodriguez reported. "The loss of their scouts has triggered their standard response protocol. They're deploying in attack formation Delta 7. Dr. Volkov looked up from her data streams. "Admiral, the quantum core is picking up something interesting. The Drachnid ships, their technology isn't just advanced, it's constrained, like they're deliberately limiting themselves." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "Their ships could be far more efficient, more powerful," Elena continued. "But they're following design patterns that are centuries old. It's as if they're afraid to deviate from established protocols." The revelation hit Sarah like a thunderbolt. "They're not just arrogant," she whispered. "They're trapped. Trapped by their own rules, their own expectations of how things should work." She opened a channel to the Hyperion. "David, new strategy. Don't just fight them. Show them what they've forgotten. Show them what's possible when you stop limiting yourself." The Hyperion's crew understood immediately. The ship's quantum core pulsed with new patterns as they recalibrated their approach. Instead of simply attacking, they began to demonstrate possibilities the Drachnids had never considered. The battleship phased through an asteroid, using the quantum state of the space rock itself to enhance their shields. They fired weapons that didn't destroy enemy ships, but instead temporarily shifted them into alternate timelines where they'd never been built. Each impossible action sent cascading confusion through the Drachnid fleet. "Their formations are breaking down," Rodriguez reported with amazement. They're trying to adapt, but their command structure can't handle the variables we're introducing." The main Drachnid fleet arrived to find their advance forces in chaos. Their massive dreadnoughts, each one larger than a small city, moved to surround the single human vessel. Their commander, High Admiral Zextel, appeared on all frequencies. Primitive species, the translated voice boomed. Your parlor tricks do not change the inevitable. Surrender now, and your planet's destruction will be quick. David's response was to demonstrate exactly what humanity's parlor tricks could do. The Hyperion's quantum core reached out to the nearest Drachnid dreadnought, its sensors probing the massive vessel's structure. Dr. Volkov was right, he told his crew. Their technology is amazing, but they're using it all wrong. Maya, show them a better way. Lieutenant Patil initiated a targeted quantum field that didn't attack the dreadnought. It optimized it. For a brief moment, the alien ship's systems operated at their true potential, unleashing power that its builders had never dared to explore. The difference, Elena suddenly exclaimed. It's us. Humans evolved under purely classical physics. We learned to imagine quantum possibilities from scratch, developed our own understanding. We're not bound by their preconceptions. David understood immediately. We don't just use quantum technology. We reimagine it. Maya, redirect all power to the quantum core. Let's show them what happens when you try to cage human creativity. The Hyperion began to pulse with new energy as its human crew pushed their understanding of reality beyond even what their own technology was designed for. The quantum core, fed by human imagination and determination, didn't fight against the Doctrine Enforcer's suppression field. It embraced it, learned from it, and began to turn it inside out. Message from the Allied fleet, Torres announced. The Arcturians have an idea. They say their bioships can adapt like living organisms if we can share our quantum patterns with them. Do it, David ordered. Share our quantum patterns with everyone. Show them all how to think beyond the boundaries. The Hyperion became a beacon, broadcasting not just data but a new way of thinking. Allied ships began to adapt, not by fighting against the suppression field, but by reimagining how their technology could work within it. Arcturian bioships evolved new organs that channeled quantum effects through biological processes. Silicon collective vessels restructured their crystalline networks to process quantum information through classical pathways. The Doctrine Enforcer's crew watched in mounting horror as their ultimate weapon failed to suppress the impossible. Instead of enforcing order, they had given the Allies a new puzzle to solve, a new boundary to think beyond. Their suppression field is actually making us stronger, Maya reported with amazement. Every restriction they try to impose just shows us a new way to innovate. David opened a channel to all ships. This is what humanity brings to the galaxy. Not just technology, not just weapons, but the ability to see boundaries as challenges. Every limit you try to impose becomes a door to new possibilities. The Doctrine Enforcer fired its main weapon, a beam designed to reset reality itself to Drachnid specifications. But as it struck the Allied fleet, something unprecedented happened. The human-inspired quantum adaptations didn't just resist the beam. They began to reverse it, sending waves of unrestricted possibility back toward the massive vessel. Sir, Torres called out, I'm detecting quantum fluctuations within the Doctrine Enforcer. Their own crew, they're starting to question the restrictions. The suppression field is weakening from the inside. The battle had become more than a clash of ships and weapons. It was a war between two fundamentally different ways of viewing reality. And as the Doctrine Enforcer's crew witnessed the endless adaptability of human thought, the very foundation of their empire's power began to crack. All ships, David commanded, prepare for the final phase. We're not going to destroy their weapon. We're going to show them why they never needed it in the first place. Dawn of a new era. The Doctrine Enforcer hung in space like a dying star, its once absolute suppression field fluctuating as more of its crew embraced the possibilities they had been taught to fear. Across the Allied fleet, ships of every species glowed with hybrid technologies that had never existed before this moment. Living crystalline computers, quantum biological processors, probability drives merged with ancient archived tech. Multiple quantum signatures detected within the Enforcer, Maya reported. Their younger crew members they're creating their own innovations. They're breaking free. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice came through, calm and clear. This was never about destroying them. It was about showing them what they'd lost. The Hyperion's quantum core pulsed with a new pattern, not of warfare, but of possibility. David understood what needed to be done. Open a channel to the Enforcer's command deck. Let them see what their empire could become. The massive viewscreen flickered to life, showing not just the Enforcer's bridge but similar scenes throughout the Drachnid fleet. Young officers stood at their stations, their scaled faces alight with the joy of discovery as they explored capabilities their ships had always possessed but never used. Veteran commanders watched in mixture of fear and wonder as centuries of doctrine crumbled before the power of unrestricted innovation. First Speaker Vorkath himself appeared, his crystalline form dim with the weight of realization. What have you done to us? We haven't done anything to you, David replied. We've shown you what you can do for yourselves. Your empire didn't maintain peace, it maintained chains, not just around technology, but around thought itself. Most surprisingly, the Nomad Arcs revealed their secret. They had spent centuries collecting and preserving banned technologies and theories, maintaining a hidden archive of innovation that the Drachnids had tried to suppress. As this knowledge was shared across the Allied fleet, ships began to transform, combining technologies in ways that had been forbidden for generations. "They're beautiful," Maya whispered, watching as an Arcturian cruiser merged its biological systems with crystalline quantum tech, its hull flowing like liquid metal while fractal patterns of pure information danced across its surface. All this potential just waiting to be unleashed. The Drachnid fleet's perfect formation had devolved into chaos as they faced not just one impossible enemy, but an alliance of species all demonstrating capabilities that violated their fundamental beliefs about how the universe should work. Some Drachnid ships simply powered down, their crews unable to process the reality they were witnessing. Others broke ranks and fled, their commanders unwilling to face the collapse of everything they believed in. "Sir," Torres reported, "I'm detecting unusual activity in some of the remaining Drachnid vessels. Their crews, they're starting to experiment. They're trying to replicate what they're seeing." David shared a knowing look with his crew. "Send them our technical data. All of it. Show them what their ships can really do when they stop following doctrine and start exploring possibilities." The revolution spread through the Drachnid fleet like a virus of innovation. Young officers, their minds less bound by centuries of doctrine, began to question their training. Ship systems that had been locked into standard configurations for generations were cautiously, then eagerly, modified and enhanced. The battle for Earth had become something far greater, a moment of awakening for an entire galaxy that had forgotten how to dream. And at its heart was the Hyperion, not just a warship but a beacon of change, showing every species, even their enemies, that the greatest weapon in the universe was the courage to imagine something new. "All ships," David broadcast, "prepare for Phase 3. We're not just going to win this battle, we're going to reshape the future. The Empire strikes." Deep within Drachnid space, the Empire's ruling Council of Doctrine convened an emergency session. The vast chamber, unchanged for 10,000 years, trembled with the psychic resonance of their fury and fear. Ancient beings who had guided the Empire's technological development for millennia watched in horror as their carefully maintained order crumbled. "The human vessel must be destroyed," First Speaker Vorkath declared, his crystalline form pulsing with dark energy. "Not just destroyed, erased. Its very existence threatens everything we have built." Back in Earth's solar system, the Hyperion and its allied fleet detected the arrival of something that made even the quantum core shudder. A massive tear in space-time heralded the arrival of the Drachnid Empire's ultimate weapon, the Doctrine Enforcer, a planet-sized vessel that embodied every restriction and limitation the Empire had ever imposed. "By the stars," Ambassador Catal whispered, their energy form flickering with recognition. "They're deploying the nullifier. We thought it was just a legend." The Doctrine Enforcer's presence began to affect reality itself. Quantum fields started to collapse back into classical physics. Probability waves solidified into single states. The advanced technologies of the Allied fleet began to shut down as the massive vessel enforced the Empire's restricted version of reality. Hyperion's quantum core is destabilizing, Maya reported, her hands dancing across controls that were becoming increasingly unresponsive. They're not just attacking our ships. They're attacking possibility itself. David watched as Allied vessels began to lose their enhanced capabilities. The Arcturian bioships reverted to basic forms, the Silicon Collective's crystalline networks dimmed, and the Nomad Ark's archive technologies went dark. The Drachnid Empire wasn't just fighting with weapons. They were trying to enforce their limited version of reality on the entire system. Dr. Volkov, David called over the command channel. What exactly are we dealing with? Melina's voice was tense but focused. The Doctrine Enforcer appears to be generating a field that collapses quantum superposition and enforces classical physics as defined by Drachnid doctrine. It's literally enforcing their rules on reality itself. But even as their ally ships began to fail, the human crew of the Hyperion noticed something strange. Their quantum core, while stressed, wasn't shutting down. If anything, it was adapting, learning from the very force trying to suppress it. The effect rippled through the Drachnid fleet. Ship after ship registered surges of energy as the Hyperion's quantum field showed them glimpses of their own suppressed potential. Warning alerts blared on every vessel as crew members witnessed their carefully regulated systems demonstrating capabilities that violated centuries of doctrine. Their fleet is falling into disarray, Torres reported. Some ships are powering down to prevent system optimization. Others are. Sir, I think some of them are trying to replicate what we showed them. David looked at his tactical display, watching the mighty Drachnid armada fragment into chaos as it faced not just defeat, but a fundamental challenge to everything they believed about technology and warfare. Send a message to command, he ordered. Tell them Phase 2 is ready to begin. It's time to show the Drachnids that humanity isn't just fighting their empire. We're going to change it. The battle for Earth was becoming something more. A battle for the future of galactic civilization itself. And humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, but their ability to imagine beyond the possible. Unexpected allies. The quantum ripples from the Hyperion's demonstration echoed through more than just the Drachnid fleet. Throughout the surrounding space, other ships lurked in the shadows of distant asteroids and cosmic debris, vessels belonging to species that had suffered under Drachnid rule for generations. Captain, we're detecting new signatures, Maya announced, her eyes widening at the sensor readings. Multiple ships decloaking, but they're not Drachnid design. They're everything else. The bridge crew watched as vessels of all shapes and sizes emerged from hiding. There were sleek Arcturian cruisers, their bioorganic hulls pulsing with internal light. Crystalline ships of the Silicon Collective sparkled like diamonds in the starlight. Even the ancient Nomad Arks, massive city ships that hadn't been seen in centuries, dropped their veils. This is Ambassador Catal of the Silent Coalition. A new voice transmitted on all frequencies. The holographic image showed a being of pure energy contained within an environmental suit. We have watched, waited, and hoped. Humanity has finally done what we could not. Shown that the Drachnids can be defied. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice came through the command channel. David, we're getting reports from all over the system. Every species that's been monitoring the battle. They're offering to join us. The Drachnids' grip on the galaxy wasn't just military. It was psychological. You just showed them it can be broken. The Hyperion's quantum core thrummed with new possibilities as data streamed in from the Allied vessels. Each species brought their own unique approach to technology, their own way of viewing the universe. Dr. Volkov's voice was excited as she analyzed the readings. Captain, these species, they've all been developing technology in secret, finding ways around Drachnid restrictions. The Arcturians have perfected biological computing. The Silicon Collective has crystalline quantum networks. If we combine these with our probability drive, David understood immediately. We can show them all how to break free, not just from Drachnid control, but from their own limitations. He opened a channel to all allied vessels. "This is Captain Chen of the Hyperion. We welcome your aid, but what we're proposing isn't just a battle. It's a revolution in how we all think about what's possible." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Ships from dozens of species moved to support the Hyperion, each bringing centuries of suppressed innovation and hidden developments. The Drachnid fleet, still struggling to maintain their rigid formation, found themselves surrounded by a swarm of vessels that defied their tactical predictions. High Admiral Zextel's voice boomed across space again, but this time there was an edge of desperation. "Traitors, deviants, you dare corrupt the proper order of technology. The Empire's doctrine has maintained peace for millennia." "Not peace," Ambassador Kittel responded. "Stagnation. Control. We were all so afraid of chaos that we forgot the value of change." The energy beam's form flickered with determination. Humanity has reminded us that progress comes from daring to think differently. The battle resumed, but now it was transformed. The Hyperion's quantum core interfaced with Arcturian bioships, creating hybrid probability fields that allowed organic technology to evolve in real time. Silicon collective vessels linked their crystalline networks to enhance the quantum calculations, predicting and countering Drachnid moves before they could happen. Ambassador Kittel's energy form joined the transmission. "The humans didn't come to destroy the Empire, Vorkath. They came to set it free. Look at your ships, your crews. Look at what they can achieve when they're allowed to think beyond the boundaries." The Doctrine Enforcer's own systems were transforming as its crew experimented with possibilities that had been locked away for millennia. Quantum fields merged with traditional technology in ways the Drachnid Empire had never imagined, creating something entirely new. "The choice is yours," Sarah added. "You can cling to your doctrine and watch your empire tear itself apart as more species break free, or you can join us in building something greater. A galaxy where innovation isn't just allowed, it's celebrated." Throughout the fleet, ships of all species began sharing their discoveries. Arcturian bioships taught Drachnid cruisers how to evolve their systems naturally. Silicon collective vessels shared their crystalline computing with anyone willing to learn. The Nomad Arcs opened their archives, releasing millennia of suppressed knowledge into eager minds. The Hyperion floated at the center of it all, its quantum core a beacon of human ingenuity that had sparked not just a revolution in technology, but in thought itself. Its human crew watched as ancient enemies became partners in discovery, each bringing their own unique perspective to the challenge of pushing boundaries. First Speaker Vorkath's form flickered as he struggled with the decision that would reshape galactic civilization. "For 10,000 years, we believed control was the path to peace. We were wrong. Humanity has shown us that true peace comes not from restricting possibility, but from embracing it." The Doctrine Enforcer's suppression field transformed into something new, a quantum enhancement field that amplified innovation rather than restricting it. Throughout the combined fleet, ships began to evolve in ways that even humanity hadn't imagined, as millennia of separated developments suddenly merged into an explosion of collaborative creativity. "Captain," Maya called out, her voice filled with wonder, "the quantum core is detecting. It's detecting futures we never thought possible. The probability space, it's infinite." David smiled. "That's the gift humanity brings to the stars. Not just our technology or our fighting spirit, but our endless capacity to imagine something new." He opened a channel to all ships. "This is the dawn of a new era. Not Earth's, not the Empire's, but one we'll all build together. The only doctrine we need is simple. There are no limits except the ones we choose to believe in." The battle for Earth had become the catalyst for a transformation that would ripple across the galaxy. The Drachnid Empire would not fall, it would evolve, guided not by restriction but by the same spirit of discovery that had driven humanity to the stars. As the combined fleet prepared to return to Earth, their ships glowing with technologies that had never existed before today, Admiral Chen sent one final message to all vessels. Remember this moment. This is what happens when we stop fighting what's different and start learning from each other. The galaxy's greatest power isn't in weapons or rules. It's in the courage to imagine something new and the wisdom to share that imagination with others. The Hyperion led the way home, its quantum core humming with the endless possibilities of tomorrow. Humanity had come to the stars expecting to find war, but instead they had sparked a revolution of thought that would reshape civilization itself. The future was no longer a set of predetermined paths. It was a canvas of infinite possibility, waiting for all species to paint upon it together.